Hi, I'm Pollyanna Wilkinson. I'm a garden designer and welcome to my garden. Today I'm going to talk you through some things you can do in your garden to get it ready for winter. So now is the perfect time to plant a bulb lasagna. What is that? It's just a layer of bulbs in a pot, but what it's going to do is give you flowers from February through to April, so it's a lot of interest just in one pot. First up, bulbs hate having wet feet, so drainage is really important. So I'm going to use some crocks. This is just broken bits of old pot in the bottom. Make sure you've got drainage holes in the bottom of your pot too. So the crocks are in. Now you're going to fill your pot up with peat-free compost to about halfway. You want to leave 20 to 30 centimetres. And once that's done, you can just level it out. So the trick with a bulb lasagna is you put the bulbs that are going to flower latest at the bottom, and you don't need to worry about them growing into bulbs that are above. They will find their way. So we're going to start with tulips. These are Queen of the Night. These are a late April, early May bulb. You're going to place them in, and in terms of spacing, when you're planting in a pot, just leave one bulb's width between each bulb. So the tulips are in, so that's April dealt with. Now we need to add more soil, and then we're going to start with our next layer of bulbs. I'm going with a daffodil, or rather a narcissus tete-a-tete, which is going to flower in March. So fill it up another 10 centimetres or so, level it out, and we're going to go again. And again, it's going to be about 15 narcissus in here. Again, one bulb width apart. So that's our March flowering tete-a-tete sorted. Now we add the final layer of soil, and in go the iris reticulata. They're going to flower in February, really beautiful little blue flowers, and we'll put them on the top layer. So the iris reticulata are in. I'm going to put some more soil on top. So quick summary, remember you're putting your latest flowering bulbs at the bottom, so that's the tulips, they're going to flower in April. Then we've got the daffodils in March, and then we've got the iris in February. So we cover it with soil. And now you've got two options. If you want to store the pots out of sight, then what I'd recommend you do is cover it with some chicken wire. This is just going to stop any squirrels getting in. They love tulip bulbs. But this is such a beautiful pot, I'm not going to be storing this away. So instead, I'm going to be planting it with some violas so we can enjoy it all through the winter until the bulbs arrive. So next up, we're going to plant up a winter window box. Now, when you're planting up anything for winter, you need to think of your thriller, your spiller, and your filler. So thriller is your flowers. Spiller is going to be, for example, this ivy, and that's going to trail down. And then filler is what's going to go in between those flowers to act as a foil. So first up, drainage holes. Your window box needs drainage holes. So I have drilled a couple of holes in this just so that water can escape. Next up, we're going to fill it with peat-free compost almost to the top. Right, I've cleared the decks so you can see what we're getting up to. First up, I'm going to put in some leftover narcissi tete-a-tete, which will just give a nice pop of spring colour come March. So you plant those twice the depth of the bulb deep. So now just have some fun with it. Pick out some plants you like and set them all out. So I'm going to start with this hellebore, which is going to give lovely flowers in January, February. Then the cyclamen, which are our thriller. They're lovely, cheerful, bright colour. And then you can swap these out for a primula come the new year when they start to go over. And you can pack them quite tightly. In winter, they're not going to keep growing, so you can actually get a lot of plants in here. So then maybe this is a little skimmia, which you could plant in a pot, and then you can move that into the garden when it outgrows its space, like that. So then you've got your thrillers. Then spiller, I'm going to use this lovely trailing ivy, so let's just put it here for now. You're just figuring out if it all works together. And then your fillers. So I've got some heuchera here. Maybe we'll tuck in there. And another here. I'm going a bit symmetrical with this one. So something a bit like that. Just play around, see if you're happy with the layout, and when you are, it's time to get planting. So I'm happy with that layout, so now I'm just going to put everything out the front so I remember what order it's all going in. And all of these plants are things you can find really easily at garden centres. So all laid out. And then we get planting. So I'm going to start at this end with the skimmia. And with pots like this, I'll backfill at the end. So put everything at the right level, and then you can always add more soil. It's much harder to dig it out. This cyclamen is brilliant. For this time of year, I think it's really cheerful. I like to have a bit of colour, but if you wanted to go for something a bit more understated, you could just go with whites, or you can go with reds if you want to go down the Christmas vibe. So this is a heuchera. These leaves will go a really lovely russet tone. And then again, we repeat with the cyclamen. Really tuck them in. Don't be shy about putting them all nice and close together. You don't want a gappy window box. And in with the hellebore. This is the star of the show. And again, this can go into the garden once you're done with it if you want to swap it out when you're doing a spring window box. Let's use my trowel. So this is what I mean about not overfilling it, because you'll be chucking soil everywhere. So bed that in. Sorry, little cyclamen. Twist it round. It is a bit of a fiddle. And then with the ivy, so depending on how big your pot is, you can tear these apart. Should we try it? So no artistry to this at all. Just get in there and rip it apart and make a mess while you're at it. So now you've got two. So that way you've got your spiller at two different points. And you don't have to go completely symmetrical, you know, it doesn't have to be the exact same spot. I'm actually going to put it here so it's all a bit off centre. And then just repeat that pattern again with the cyclamen. So these will look good until about January, then they might look a bit tired. And that's when you'd put the primula in, and that's when all the narcissi are going to start coming through too. Tuck that little guy in there. Take a step back, see if you're happy, keep going. Two more. And you're thinking about your front face as well, because obviously you're not going to see it so much from the inside. You're thinking about what it's going to look like as you walk past. And then finally, another little skimmia. Tuck that in, and then we're just going to backfill with a bit of compost just to fill any gaps. So I've backfilled that, there are no gaps left, and all that I need to do now is find a nice windowsill for it. So there you have it, a super simple, elegant window box for everyone to enjoy as they walk by. Here's 3 things you can do in the garden this weekend. First up, Continue to deadhead any remaining annuals to ensure flowers until the first frosts. Next up, it's apple season, so pick all your apples and store somewhere cool and dry. When picking, make sure that you lift and twist but don't tug. Now's a great time to divide herbaceous perennials such as hardy geraniums or astrantia. To do so, dig them up, divide with a spade and replant. So now that we've planted up our bulb lasagna and our window box, here's a few things that you can do to make sure your garden looks fantastic next summer. Number one, think about investing in evergreen shrubs for structure. If you're time poor, this is a brilliant thing to put in your garden because it's going to look good in winter, autumn, spring and summer. Second up, furniture. It's absolutely key. If you have rubbish furniture in your garden, it can let down the whole look, which is why you need to invest in a really special piece, such as my fantastic sofa here, which is going to elevate your space rather than let it down. Third up, it's clutter. You've got to declutter. If you've got loads of tiny pots and bits and bobs everywhere, again, it can really let the garden down. Instead, refine it down. Ask yourself, do you need it? If you need pots, go big, not small. It will have more impact. Thanks so much for joining me in the garden today. I hope you've learned a thing or two and got you eager and itching to get back in the garden too. I better get back to the office. So I've been Polly Wilkinson. See you soon.